Catus Maximus here, this time with a quick review and comparison of hemostats, tweezers, and scissors. These aren't all, medical instruments. Many of these are. But, like these cutters here, I believe, are more for cosmetics like fingernail, cuticles, that kind of stuff. But this kind of collection was the most closely related, and I just want to kind of do a review of all these at once. And I did say I was done with plier reviews, but these are the most closely related to pliers, so I figured as a final plier-related review, we'll go and take a look at them. So the hemostats, which are just a pair, which are self-locking pliers, and that's what all these are, is we have a variety of them here, that's what these things are. These are those weird pliers that have the little serrations, the little locking serrations. Many have pretty aggressive teeth in them. Some are curved like that, and some are straight, as you can see here. We have different styles. Some, use a brushed stainless steel and have smooth jaws, as you can see there. And then this is, of course, just a polished pair of smooth jaws. And then, of course, we have different sizes. Now that they're all stuck in my fingers here. Such as this, where they're small and large. So in the medical field, I did a quick look up on these. What these are used for is during surgeries, they use them to pinch off blood vessels. So they were great on the job site. I mean, if you get a severe job site injury, you can just use some of these, pinch off any bleeding and just get right back to work. I'm totally kidding about that. Probably a very bad joke. Anyway, these I use in electronics many times is to lift and pull components. It's nice to grab a hold of, say, a small resistor, lock one of these on. That way I have much better grip on the small component and I can desolder it and just pop it right off nice and easy. Another aspect of these that I like for electronics is if I have a small component like an electrolytic capacitor that I'm trying not to overheat, then I can take these and lock them onto the leg of the capacitor, and it helps provide a heat sink so the heat doesn't travel up the leg and into the capacitor, potentially ruining it. So it acts as a heat sink, and that's what I use them for, as well as any kind of like small assembly, or I'm trying to get, small little parts, say in power tools, installed or removed, or say removing gears inside cordless gearboxes. These are great for just picking those kind of components out. I also have a variety of scissors, which are of similar use. These aren't, there's a huge variety of medical tools, so this isn't a medical tool review. This is just to show when you see some of these stainless steel small tools is kind of what they're for and what they're handy can be used for outside the medical field. This is just a small pair of scissors, which is real nice. Sometimes I've really liked just being able to get in there and just make a tiny little snip. We have this style scissors, which are bent at 30 degrees and then have a little tongue so you can get under like textiles. And I mean, these are designed to get under, clothing and that kind of stuff, and be able to cut it with it maintaining, the clothing under the edge so it doesn't want to slip out, and, you don't damage anything below it. And I've used those for similar purposes, sometimes for opening packages, but they're also very handy. And then we have a couple of straight designs. What I always thought was interesting about these scissors is that one jaw is pretty thick, and then the other jaw is real sharp. I never really understood why they were designed like that. But they're just handy, small, compact little scissors. And then I actually think these are, I'm not sure what these are. I think these are like eyelash scissors. But these have come in handy too sometimes, where I just need to get in there and just make a nice little cut flush to something. And just wanted to point those out. We have a few unique ones. We have this, which I believe are suture or used for stitching. These are actually really caught up on there. Or for putting in stitches. It's the best thing I can think of. Is they have a couple odd holes, a set of scissors integrated into them, and then a little loop right here. And I always thought they were neat because they had the gold-plated handles. I've never really used those. We have a couple of these cutters too, which I actually have used quite a few times, for cutting wire in real tight spaces. And they've just worked out great for me. I really like the way these type of scissors operate. They're pretty high quality. These are actually, they're Revlon, but they're German made, and they actually work really smoothly. I've really appreciated them, and they have just a really thick beam. I really like the situations where I can just get in there with a real fine point. And a lot of times versus many of the electric pliers that I have, these have worked out much better. Just because they tend to make a real nice, sharp, clean cut. I've also used them in the electronic repair just because these tiny little tips you can get into some real fine spaces. And then this is just a similar, slightly cheaper set. I think these are called Tweezermans, and these are basically the same type of deal. Except for one difference about these, which I always thought was interesting, is that they have a beam the scissors go through the beam rather than having a split beam such as these. So those are just a couple of minor differences. But these things definitely are handy in a variety of situations. The last thing I was going to quickly talk about here were tweezers, and I'm not sure, what these are used for medically. But for me, oftentimes I get splinters, and I found a couple pairs of tweezers here that really have been just the best way to put it is they're like master tools for removing splinters. If you have anything serious, what I found, this is a strange little tool. It has a little serrated curved jaw, and then the bottom jaw is actually a cup. If this will focus, there we go, that it actually fits into, and I found so many times I can just really grip onto a splinter and just pull it right on out of there. The other end of it has a little gap. Come on, focus. There we go. And you can see that they have these teeth in the end of it. Let me zoom in just a little bit here so you can see better. And then those little teeth have just been great because I can just get real close to the surface of the skin and then just grab a hold of that splinter and get it right on out of there. These have been great. Whenever I even had friends with splinters, these you just sanitize with alcohol or sodium benzoate. I'm not sure what that is, but the little purple label wipes, you just quickly disinfect them, and then they're just great for pulling out splinters. I mean, these things have just been, I've had friends and myself fighting with splinters, and when I bring out these, they're just amazed by them and pretty much always work. Now, if you have smaller splinters, say from Barkamulch or something, or even small metal splinters, the kind of splinters that seem to really hurt, but you can barely see them, I have this style of tweezers. These don't have any kind of real markings on them, but they do right there, another Pakistani pair. But what's interesting about these tweezers, as you can see, is they have a little tooth and a little V jaw in there. You can see how that tooth fits in there. And man, these have also been just amazing because you can just get that little V jaw right over the little edge of that tiny little metal splinter or that piece of bark that just seems to be right on top of a nerve ending, and you can just get right on it, and then that little V groove and that little point just allows you to really grab it and pull it out. These have been absolutely amazing for dealing with very small splinters. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to do a quick review and, discussion about some of these smaller stainless steel pliers and scissors. And just talk about how handy they are. And then these things actually periodically will turn up at thrift stores and those kind of places. Not exactly sure how they end up, around there, but this has been, I've collected these up for years. It's always been one or two things here, one or two things there. And over about a decade, I've managed to actually have a nice little collection. And so I just wanted to share and talk about it with you guys. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Catus Maximus out.